Good Saturday, everybody. First pitch here on the YouTube Wager Talk channel. I am Matt Josephs alongside Dave Koken and Dwayne Bryant. Steve Merrill joining us momentarily. WagerTalk.com for Dave, Dwayne, and Steve. SportsMemo.com for me. Let's start out with you, Dave. How was your Friday night?
Well, I had a postponement on the Astros game. The other game worked out nicely. The Nationals -1, and they just killed the Red Sox in that game. Max Scherzer back on the beam, and the Nationals did what they usually do against lefties, which is knock them around. So that was a nice win and a little momentum heading into today.
Dwayne, how was your Friday?
Pretty good, exciting. I had the White Sox. They tried to give it away in the ninth inning last night, but the walk-off homer sealed that one. So, that was my only play yesterday. Nothing up today yet, but I'll get on that as soon as the show's over.
Yeah, and it's a good Saturday, at least for me as well, because it's college football Saturday. It's an FCS game. It's going to be a really good FCS game between Austin Peay and Central Arkansas. You can find my play on sportsmemo.com for only $12. Also, we try to extend the DFS streak. Our boy Jorge Soler with a home run yesterday. And so we try and extend that. We'll do that at the end of the show. All right. Well, as we do it always, we've got three big games that we're going to get into, and we'll start things off with the Indians and the Cardinals. 1:15 later on this afternoon Eastern time. Carlos Carrasco against Flaherty. Carrasco's fooled me the last three times. I keep thinking he's going to snap out of it, and he has not, against some poor lineups as well. Dave, we'll start out with you. What have you seen from Carrasco, and what do you like about this matchup today?
Well, he's struggling a bit. And he's going against a really good opponent here, Jack Flaherty, who's one of the best pitchers in baseball. The problem I have with the game is the Indians, look, their offense was tremendous yesterday. And this has been kind of a streaky team offensively, mostly streaky the bad way. But they've had a few runs where they do get hot for a little bit with the bats, coming off a 14-run output. I don't like going against a team in that situation. So I like the Cardinals with Flaherty for the first five, but not enough to play it based on the offensive explosion yesterday. And the Cardinals, they've played so many games in a short span because of all the games they missed. They kind of look like they're a little bit weary right now, and that worries me. So I normally gravitate toward doing something on Flaherty almost every time he pitches, but I'm not going to do it today.
Steve Merrill joining us from wagertalk.com. We'll get to him in just a moment. But Dwayne, when you look at Carrasco, his fastball velocity was down a little bit last time out. He was, he's seemingly getting frustrated his last couple starts, and he's facing the Pirates, the Tigers, the last two starts, and hasn't looked very good.
Right. I mean, he's coming off his worst start of the season against Detroit. They nailed him for 4 runs and 2 homers and only 3 1/3. Practically everything was hit in the air in that game off of Carrasco. I guess if there's a silver lining for him, it's that he only threw 67 pitches in that game. His left on base percentage is well above league average and his career average, so he's probably going to see some regression in that regard. My concern with him is that he's only had 3 quality starts in his last 8 road starts, going back to the beginning of last year. They were 3-5 in those games, despite being an average -138 favorite. And 2 of those games, they were a dog, and they scored a total of 1 run in those 2 games. So as Dave mentioned, Flaherty, excellent pitcher, pitched 5 shutout innings at home against Kansas City last time out. Only threw 64 pitches. That count's going to go up today, especially with the way the bullpen had to work last night. He's got an extremely low whip on the season because he's only walked 2 batters out of the 53 he's faced. Great home numbers since the beginning of 2018. Great numbers at home the first 2 times through the lineup. Cleveland did put up 14 runs last night, but they put up double-digit runs 2 other times this year, and they followed it up with 1.5 runs per game average in the 2 that followed. I still like the Cards' first 5, despite Indians' outburst last night.
Yeah, Steve, is this the only way you can go in this game, first 5? Because we don't think Flaherty's going to go past 5 potentially. They're still working his arm up, only threw 64 pitches last time out.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, Matt, I'm big on Cleveland. I know Dave said he doesn't think there's value at 20-1. I think there is for the World Series just because of the pitching. I know they got some offensive problems, but as Dwayne said, they're starting to heat up offensively. Not only did they put up 24 runs the last 3 games, but more importantly, they've got double-digit hits now in 5 of their last 7 games. And the Indians are now 17-2 this year when they score 3 runs or more. That's why I like them as a futures play, because I think the pitching is as good as anything in the American League right now.
Yeah, when you look, this umpire tonight is an under umpire. Now, I don't know how much you guys do with regards to that, but he's 1-5-2 to the under. Rehack is and I know we don't have Tony Finn here for that, but that's something just to look at when it comes to this matchup as well, if both guys are starting to throw strikes. I do like this. Dave picks our games for the ones, and I like to see some new teams here. The Rays and the Marlins. Lopez against Fleming. Fleming made his major league debut last time out. Dave, what do you like about this matchup?
Well, this gets really tough because I like Lopez over Fleming by a pretty good margin. I've been quite high on Pablo Lopez. I've mentioned that before. I think he's going to emerge as the long-term ace on this Marlins squad. He's got good stuff. And Fleming's just a guy. Lefty first time around can be difficult, but his stuff looks like it's really average, and I don't know that he's anything more than a bullpen guy long-term. So that puts me on the Marlins. The flip side of it is, though, and this is why I won't play the game, even though I like the Marlins, Tampa's just not losing any games. I mean, this team's, 17-4 or something in the last 21. Those are not teams I want to go against. So it's kind of one of those situations where I like the pitching on one side, but I just cannot go against a team as hot as Tampa. And that's good. And, I hate saying I pass, but that's a good reason to pass for me.
Steve, it's funny. If you read just the headlines from yesterday's game, you'd think the Marlins have won. Sixto Sanchez spins a great game, but of course they still score no runs and they lose 2-0. What do you think? Fleming looked good his first time against the Blue Jays last time out.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if you're looking for another team that's, getting it done, at least from the pitching side, you could say the Rays right now on the season, they're allowing just barely over 4 runs a game, and they've been winning with low-scoring games recently. I mean, they've won 5 of their last 6. They've scored 4 runs or less in 5 of those 6 games. So it's going to be a low-scoring game once again, I think, and the under probably has some value. I think both offenses are ice cold right now.
Yeah, the first 5 under could be worth a look here. Dwayne, when you look at Pablo Lopez, he's becoming a lot more of a ground ball pitcher. He had a career ground ball percentage of 49.3. This year, it's almost 62%, and we're seeing massive improvement from him.
Yeah, he's looked really good, especially at home against the Mets and Braves, who are 2 teams that are among the best against right-handed pitching. He only gave up 4 runs in 12 1/3. So, there's only been 3 Tampa Bay Rays that have had a total of 8 plate appearances against Lopez. There was a solo homer by Joey Wendell. That was the only blemish. So there's lots of unfamiliarity, too, which favors the pitcher early on. Through 5 starts this season, like I said, he's much improved over last season. The ground ball rate, which was already better than average, is even better this season. His home runs per fly ball, which was better than average last year, is incredible this year. Swinging strike percentage is up, and he's been consistent, lasted at least 5 innings and allowed 2 or less earned runs in each of his 5 starts this year. Rays have been pretty tough against righties, though. But on the other side, Fleming, like you said, he's off his major league debut. Didn't do too badly against the Jays, who hit left-handers pretty well. Miami doesn't hit lefties pretty well. Miami also hasn't faced Fleming, so he's got an edge there early in the game. And Miami, just as a team, is only averaging 2 1/4 runs in 4 home games against lefties. I'm looking at the first 5 under in this game. Lopez has looked good at home versus teams who hit righties well, and Miami just doesn't hit lefties.
Only 3 hitters on the Tampa lineup has seen Lopez before. Obviously, nobody in the Marlins have seen Fleming before. He had 9 swings and misses last start, 2 sliders, 5 sinkers, and 2 changeups when you look at Fleming. Final game we take a look at here and dive into Giants and Diamondbacks, Cahill and Weaver. Weaver, batters are hitting 240 the first time through, 333 the second time through. Steve, I go to you first here. Weaver and Cahill, your pitching matchup here.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the cancellations Thursday, I had a free play on Arizona on my wagertalk.com page, and the game was canceled. I did not come back with it yesterday, but they did win 7-4. I think they would have won also on Thursday. And one of the reasons I liked them to snap that 8-game win streak is because I think the Giants are starting to lose now. And I've looked for it to continue. Of course, they weren't playing the Giants Thursday, but I thought Arizona was due to get back on track. And when the Giants got shut out in the doubleheader on Thursday, not surprised to see Arizona get back to life and snap that 8-game losing streak last night. I think the momentum carries here. I think the Giants are probably a fade team in the near future.
Dwayne, Weaver's had a rough season, but he looked good against the Giants. How much was it a bad lineup, or how much was it that you think Weaver's improving?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he's had, like I said, he had a rough first 4 starts of the season, but he's put together 2 decent starts, the last 2 against Oakland and at San Francisco. Uh, like I said, he just faced the Giants in his last start in San Francisco, went 5 2/3, only gave up 2 runs. Career at home with Arizona, he's got decent numbers there. He's only been a home favorite with Arizona twice, and they split those games. Both games went under. Giants, a little bit above average against righties according to the advanced metrics, but they're just 3-9 on the road against righties, only 3.8 runs a game. On the other side, Cahill, he just faced Arizona at home in his last start. It was his first home start with the Giants. Gave up 1 run in 5 1/3. Whether the Arizona hitters can make adjustments or not, I guess we'll see. The advanced metrics say Arizona are slightly below average against righties, but they've averaged 5.6 runs per game at home against them. Cahill, he's had some pretty rough outings on the road going back as far as 3 years. 26 road starts, high OPS, high WHIP. Teams lost 17 of the 26 games that he did pitch on the road. The over was 18-6-2, 75% in those 26 road starts. I think if I had to bet this game, I think I would take the over, even though I don't like betting overs, so I probably won't play this one. But if I had to, the over would be how I would go.
Dave, what did you price this game?
Oh, higher. Because for 2 reasons. One is I like Weaver. I think he's finding his groove. He was pitching really well till he got hurt last year. And last 2 starts have been very encouraging for him. The other reason is I think Cahill is a stiff. On occasion, Trevor Cahill commands everything well. And that's exactly what happened in this last start against the Diamondbacks at home, where he just was terrific. He still had occasional control issues, but the fact was he was throwing all 4 of his pitches pretty much where he wanted to. That is very un-Trevor Cahill-like. It's the reason Cahill has never developed in anything more than a back-end guy who gets shuttled from team to team, is that he'll have the occasional game where he's got it all together, but most of the time he's a really fringe guy. And I think the fact that the Diamondbacks are seeing him for a second straight time should be an advantage for Arizona. I think the Diamondbacks are the right side in this game. They're coming off a win, which they desperately needed, that takes the pressure off. The Giants due for some regression, and it does appear that it's starting. They get shut out twice by the Dodgers, now go on the road and lose again. I think the Diamondbacks get the job done in this game.
So that's our big 3 games here. Before we get to our quick hit segment with everything that's going on, you've got NBA back, you've got NHL, you've got, as we said, college football, Major League Baseball. You'll definitely want to go out to our web pages, wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com. Dave, what can we find on your page this evening and today for all the sports that are going on?
Haven't posted yet. I'll do that after the show. I'll have a free play. No video today, but I will post a free play at Wager Talk, and then I'll have my plays up. Probably one NHL game, one best bet for sure in Major League Baseball, and maybe a couple others that I don't know yet. So it'll be a surprise, okay?
It'll be a surprise. We always appreciate your surprises, Dave. Dwayne, I know you said you have nothing posted yet, but what do you think, maybe a little baseball this afternoon?
Yeah, I'll probably have one baseball best bet going that I'll put up on my page right after the show. I'll have a free play that'll come out as well. That'll probably get posted over on Instagram when we're done here. That's pretty much it for me. I'm usually a 1 play a day guy. I try to find that best bet and hammer it, and that's what I'm going to do today.
Steve, also on wagertalk.com, a little NBA, a little MLB today?
Yeah, I was a couple minutes late today, guys, because I was finishing out the NBA card. I'm going to pass in the NBA. I decided to do that right before I jumped on, but I do have a baseball best bet and also a free baseball play at Wager Talk. And just a quick reminder, we did the NBA tip-off show yesterday. We covered all 6 games for Saturday and Sunday. So go to YouTube, find NBA tip-off. It'll say Friday, August 28th, but it's all Saturday and Sunday games. Some great information from the show yesterday.
And then I've got a play on the FCS college football game tonight for just $12 on sportsmemo.com. Got a side and a lean to the total. I'm also going to start posting some prop plays. I've gotten the okay from the bosses to post them for $12. So if you want to check that out on sportsmemo.com, of course, some prop plays in Major League Baseball. All right, time for some quick hits. And by the way, before we get to the quick hits, weather could be a factor today. Make sure to check it out because the remnants of the hurricane is going through part of the United States right now. There's going to be a lot of rain delays, could be some postponements, a lot of wind blowing out. So you're going to have to take that into account. We'll start out with the Mets and the Yankees here. Giselman against Happ. Now, the one thing that I'm looking at here, fellas, and we'll start with you, Dave, Happ is a little frustrated with the Yankees right now. If he makes 10 starts or throws 62 innings this season, his $17 million vesting option automatically triggers, and he thinks the Yankees are trying to screw him. Does that factor at all today into this matchup?
I don't know if they're trying to screw him. Pitch better and you'll pitch more. He has been very good. And look at this. I mean, who would have thought this 2 weeks ago? The Mets are favored against the Yankees with Robert Gesellman on the mound, no less, which tells you that the market thinks absolutely nothing of J.A. Happ right now. This line opened with the Yankees favored, and the money has come in on the Mets. And honestly, I don't disagree with it. Now, the Yankees do get LeMahieu back today, and Andujar has been optioned out. So they improve right there. Look, I don't think there's any value in taking the Mets at this price, but I'm not going against them either. The Mets playing a little better ball right now, and the Yankees just aren't.
Steve, are the Yankees the type of team that you're going to look at this price even if they're struggling a lot?
I don't want anything to do with them right now. They're on a 7-game losing streak, and they're not healthy offensively. They're getting healthier. But the thing that jumps out to me is this is an offensive juggernaut normally. They've put up 1 run or less in 2 of those last 4 losses. They put up 2 runs or less in 3 of their last 5 losses. And the Mets, after getting shut out, after Tony Finn cursed them by wearing the jersey on Wednesday, getting shut out in that doubleheader for the first time in 45 years, they've won 3 straight. They've put up 15 runs. Single-digit hits, though, every game. Yankees have had 5 hits or less in 3 of their last 4 games. So, yeah, I don't trust the Yankees right now. I think the under 10.5 actually has some value. It's a big total based on the overall numbers this season, but that's not the Yankees' offense right now.
Yeah, Dwayne, 2 ugly pitchers starting in this one, and a Yankees lineup that's really devoid outside of LeMahieu of stars.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of either of these starters today, Zellman or Happ. Like you guys said, the Yankees are struggling offensively right now. And anytime you see the Yankees as a home dog or just a small home favorite, it gets my attention. Definitely not the norm there. There's probably a good reason for it. The Yankees' pen has really struggled over the last week as well. So if I had to, I would take the Mets here.
By the way, this game's got a good chance of being delayed.
Yeah.
Looking at the weather.
Yeah.
Other games, I think Philadelphia could be a delay.
Hey, Dave, when you see rain, do you think that hurts the pitching, the offense? Do you change your handicap any on a delay?
No, I don't know what to make of it. I really don't. The other game, the Red Sox could be looking at a delay. I think that's it.
Well, let's move on to that Phillies-Braves game. Up next, Tomlin and Eflin. These 2 pitchers faced off last week. Tomlin had a rough one, 3 home runs allowed in 3 innings to the Phillies. Eflin gave up 3 earned runs, 6 hits in 5 1/3 innings. Dwayne, we'll start with you in this one.
Well, it's a quick hit, so I'll make it quick. I'd like to take the Phillies on the first 5 here. They're on a 4-game win streak. Eflin's advanced numbers tell me that he's got some positive regression coming his way. So, I don't like their bullpen yet. It's looked a little bit better since they made their moves, but I'm not ready to jump on board a Phillies full game. But Phillies first 5 is worth a look.
Steve, looks like both lineups are out. The Braves lineup pretty much intact. The Phillies stars for the most are intact. Andrew Knapp is batting 8th and Adam Hazley batting 9th. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I agree with Dwayne. I think the Phillies are heating up. Not only 4 straight wins, but they got double-digit hits in 3 of those 4 games. They've put up 23 runs in those 4 games. I like the offensive momentum. And, Matt, is it a coincidence that the day the 76ers get eliminated, the Phillies started this 4-game win streak? So someone's heating up in Philly for you.
Dave, what did you price this matchup between these 2 pitchers?
Let's see. Actually did not do the game. The reason I didn't do it was because I saw the weather, and I just have a tendency. I see Steve asked, you asked the question, I guess.
Yeah, I was curious, Dave, if you think it changes the outcome of these games when there's a delay. I find it random.
I've never been able to figure it out.
Yeah, I agree.
And I have a tendency to just scratch those games off.
Yeah, I'm with Dave. I'm with Dave on that. When I see a game that's likely to be impacted by weather, I usually just skip right over it.
Rain delays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like uncertainty as a handicapper, and I feel that brings some uncertainty into the equation when they're sitting for a couple hours in the dugout in the bullpen.
Yeah, there were the three games I mentioned, and the reason I mentioned them is that I didn't bother to make numbers on any of those games for the simple reason that I don't know what the situation is going to be. I mean, they might be sitting around for a couple hours. How do you handicap that?
Yeah, especially the starting pitchers.
Yeah.
Plus, in certain situations, it depends on who the pitchers are. If you like the over and the bad pitchers are the one that are out there, you want the bad pitchers out there, and then you don't know who's coming in afterwards. So, yeah, a lot of uncertainty there.
Well, and that plus you often have times when, and this is absolutely nothing you can call in advance, where the game ends up starting and they play 2 innings, and then they go out and sit for 2 hours. Now your starting pitchers are out of the game. There's just, the nice thing about baseball is that, well, normally there's 15 games every day. You don't have to play them all. And in games like that where there's just giant question marks, just to hell with them. Leave them alone.
And by the way, remember, now that there's no fans in the stands, baseball has been a little quicker to call some of these games because they don't need to suck out the concession money from those people. The cardboard cutouts don't eat anything. All right, moving on. The Royals and the White Sox. Winds out to right center, 10 miles per hour in this one. Singer and Cease both have given up 7 home runs this season. We could see a lot of runs here, Dwayne.
Yeah, the White Sox have never faced Singer. That should give him an early edge. Cease has a 3.13 ERA, and that, to me, looks phony. If you look at his advanced metrics, they say he's got some regression coming. So, I'd like the Royals plus a half run in the first 5 here.
Steve, we've talked about that regression, and last time out, Cease did look good against the Cubs. Do you still think that regression's coming?
Well, I've become more of a momentum handicapper the last 10 years or so versus when I started 25 years ago. But an underdog system I developed back in the 90s that I used to use exclusively for baseball for quite a while. It did very well. Actually does trigger the Royals here today. However, I'm not ready to get in front of this White Sox momentum. They're playing exceptionally well. They've won now, 10 of the last 11, I think. But the White Sox, the Royals do trigger a system I used for decades that has been profitable, and there's probably some line value because of that as well.
Yeah, Dave, crazy game between these two yesterday in that 9th inning and the walk-off home run by Grandal.
Yeah, and that's the problem with going against. I definitely took a look at the Royals in this game. I think Cease's numbers are a little bit phony, and I think he's a guy you can look to play against. But you got to wait for the White Sox to cool off to do that.
Yep.
Singer has impressed me, but he does seem to be going in the opposite direction. His numbers are not real good the last few starts. Now, part of that, I think, has to do with the fact that he has to face the same team 3 times in a row, which is really rough for a rookie. But this is one of those games where, I'll be honest, I don't have the balls to bet it. And I like the Royals a little bit, but I just can't play it. The White Sox are just too hot right now. I might consider the first 5 on the Royals. If you're looking to take a shot with a dog, I think that's the way to go here. Royals first 5.
And Matt, I'll add real quick too. The Royals have only lost 1 of their last 5, but more than a run. So Dave and I are kind of leaning towards the Royals. One reason to play them. Run line if you want a little more safety. They are keeping the games close.
And I think I'm going to go back to the well on this one and go back to the runs, hits, and errors over once again, because I just think there's going to be a lot of runners on base. I think there's going to be a lot of hits and stuff with the wind blowing out when 2 pitchers who give up a boatload of home runs. All right, it's time to start to our doubleheader portion. You've got the Twins and the Tigers, Dobnak and Boyd game 1. Twins undecided game 2 against Skubal. For those who are new, basically we don't do as much with the doubleheaders. Dave, any thoughts on either of these 2 games?
And nothing much changed. I mean, it's still Dobnak and Boyd. And while Boyd is starting to show some improvement, I don't want any part of him. Dobnak, there's going to be a regression at some point for Dobnak, but until it happens, this is not a guy I want to go against. So it'd be either Twins or pass.
Dwayne, anything on either game in the doubleheader?
No, like I said, I don't even look at doubleheader games, so it's a pass for me.
Steve?
I will say Detroit's playing decent, actually. And after that long losing streak, after the 20 straight losses to Cleveland, they won 2 out of 3. They've quietly gone 4-2 their last 6 against the Indians and Cubs. So they are playing a little bit better than they were a week ago.
And then our next doubleheader is Cubs and Reds. Darvish, Bauer, game 1. Mills and Antone, game 2. Joey Votto likely to return. We gave the stat yesterday. The Reds are actually worse when Votto's in the lineup. I don't want to ask so much about this game specifically, but we'll start with you, Steve. When you see a total as low as 5.5, and I know it's only 7 innings or 6.
Crazy.
I mean, how do you attack something like that? Because there is literally no room for error with a total like that.
Right, and it's the same analogy we use, Matt, when we talk first 5 innings. When it gets down to 3.5, we all say just one bad half of an inning by either team, and you're kind of screwed on the under. So I think it's a good analogy, and it's low for a reason because the pitchers have the edge. I look at the offenses, though. I mean, the Cubs have broken out the last couple games on the road with 11 runs. Cincinnati's put up 18 runs their last 3, and keep in mind, 12 of those runs came in just 15 innings of the doubleheader. So I'd be very cautious with that under.
Dwayne, is there a threshold number for totals that makes you really leery when it comes to, like, I have no room for error?
Well, I like to do first 5 unders, and my limit is pretty much 4. I won't go under anything lower than 4.
Dave, how about you?
It depends on the game.
Would you get scared off by a 6 in the Darvish Bauer type situation?
Well, no. I mean, it's a 7-inning game.
Right, I understand that, but I mean, there is literally no more. If one bad inning from Bauer, one which we know he has had in the past, then you lose that 6.
Yeah, well, but anytime you play an under, you run that risk. I mean, that's why people hate him. They don't like playing unders. People like to bet overs. I bet unders. I'm not doing it in this game, but no, I don't care about that. I never get scared off anything.
And then the last
bet's a good bet. You can't. If it's a good bet, you bet it. That's it.
And then the last doubleheader is Oakland and Houston. You got Bassett, McCullers, and you got Montas and Greinke. Another 6.5 for game 2. But of course, most people don't bet game 2 until after game 1. I'll just any opinions on any of these 3 games, Dave? Now or those 2 games?
Yeah. I had the Astros yesterday. The game got postponed. It's the same matchup. I'm going to check the lineups, but if the lineups are okay, I'm going to bet the Astros.
Dwayne?
Nothing on the doubleheader games, but somebody in the comments had asked how they can find me on Instagram. I post everything. The free pick videos are through the Wager Talk Instagram account. So if you're looking for the free pick videos for me, you can find them on the Wager Talk Instagram account.
Steve, anything on the A's Astros doubleheader?
Yeah, the A's are an interesting team, with these short numbers, Matt, because they don't get a lot of hits. But Tony Finn and I have been talking about this all season. They get a lot more runs versus the hits they get. So they're the type of team I'd be leery of playing under a short total because 1 inning they can explode, as we all know.
Cobb and Walker. It's the Orioles and the Blue Jays. Taijuan Walker making his debut for the Blue Jays. Cobb faced these Blue Jays just a couple of days ago, about 12 days ago, and pitched pretty well. He gave up a bunch of infield hits, and that kind of bit him in that one. Steve, back to you. Cobb and Walker and Blue Jays Orioles.
Yeah, no, it's in Buffalo, and that's my park, man. I love this Buffalo Blue Jays team. They're fun to watch at home. They're all offense, and I love dichotomies, guys. 11.5 runs a game now in Buffalo on average. And they're scoring about 8.5 on the road, I believe. So it's the over or pass for me in these Buffalo games.
Dave?
Quick note, by the way, the Cubs-Reds, wind's blowing dead out. That's part of the reason that total's a little bit high there. No, nothing here. I'll see what Walker does with his new team.
Dwayne, Cobb has some decent numbers if you look at his peripherals, the FIP and the XFIP.
Yeah, he does. Like you said, he just faced the Jays at home less than 2 weeks ago, gave up 5 runs in 6 2/3. Thinking he'll adjust a little bit here. And, Walker, this will be his first start since coming over from Seattle. And I usually like to see a pitcher at least throw a couple of games with the new team before I jump in. Interesting note here, though, despite being an average dog of plus 191, Baltimore's 5-1 in Cobb's last 6 road starts. And with the Jays only being 3-3 at home against righties, as a favorite against righties at home, I think Baltimore's worth a shot here at the price.
Marty Foster is the umpire. He has gone under in 5 of his 6 times as the home plate umpire. Dodgers and Rangers, Stripling and Lynn. Some interesting stats for Stripling. He's given up a major league leading 10 home runs, 9 of them off the fastball. He's got a career high 41.2% fly ball rate, a 32% ground ball rate. And Lance Lynn is Lance Lynn. He could be pitching for another team after the trade deadline. Dwayne, we'll start with you.
Texas has been poor against right-handed pitching. They're only averaging 3.1 runs per game at home against righties. Dodgers have the bullpen edge in this game. I think Lynn, his 1.59 ERA is phony if you look at his advanced metrics. With the Dodgers losing the opener of this series last night, I think you have to count on them to bounce back today.
Steve, this is Lynn's 5th start against the National League so far this year. And oh, by the way, he's in the American League.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think he's ever faced the Dodgers since 2017. And Lynn, by the way, gave up those 2 early runs. The game still stayed under. He settled down. But as Dwayne said, I feel like it's a ticking time bomb there with Lynn. So I'd be a little careful going forward. And just how good is this damn Dodgers team? Outscoring their opponents by 2.5 runs a game. They have a strong bullpen on top of that. That's why they're 24-10. But as I've said every show all year, you either play the underdog outright or you play the Dodgers minus 1.5 run line, and it's worked extremely well either way.
Dave, what did you price this game? Because minus 150 seems a little cheap with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I made it cheaper than that because Lynn is kind of an enigma to analytical handicappers. Jesus, because he consistently looks like his numbers are supposed to be worse than they are, but then they never are. They just aren't. He's one of those pitchers who I put more I don't look at the metrics with him because he's just an unusual pitcher. He basically is a one-pitch guy. He adds and subtracts on the fastball, so it looks like different pitches, but it's basically all fastballs, and he'll just show other stuff. And one-pitch pitchers are not supposed to be starting pitchers in the major leagues. They're supposed to be bullpen guys. So Lance Lynn doesn't fit any profile that's out there. He is, quite honestly, the most what's that old beer commercial, the Dos Equis, the most interesting man in the world? Lance Lynn is the most interesting pitcher in baseball because he defies all convention. He is not a guy I will go against. He just finds a way to bear down and says, here's my fastball. I'm going to throw it high in the zone. If you can hit it, good luck. And then they don't hit it. And I think hitters go up there with the approach that they're going to take him deep, and that hurts them. I'm not going against the guy, and Stripling has been unimpressive. I'm not taking the Rangers at this price. I'm not getting my money's worth because the market they're betting Lance Lynn, and they're getting good results. So it's a pass for me, and basically for those reasons. I think the line is inviting enough to bet. I really don't want to go against this Dodgers team. Let's put it that way. I mean, they're clearly the best team in baseball right now. But Lance Lynn's just not – I haven't bet against Lance Lynn in about it's over a year, okay? And I'm not going to start today.
Cutter.
I was going to say real quick, Lynn might be on the trading block. There's a lot of rumors this is his last start for Texas. You got to be worried about how that might affect him. And once again, I don't know how it's going to affect him.
I think he loves it.
You think that makes him better than him?
Oh, hell yeah. Because he's not going to go to some garbage team. I mean, if he goes, he's going to a contender, and listen. This guy is one of the most competitive guys. You watch him pitch. He's a bear out there, okay? And I think he wants the ball in big game situations.
His cutter, people are hitting 091 against it. His sinker, which is his quote-unquote worst pitch, people are hitting 136 against. So Lance Lynn has been doing stuff, and his BIP is just 189, stranding 93.9% of his base runners.
Right.
Amazing.
Those are numbers that are supposed to correct. But the problem is they basically never did last year, and they probably aren't going to this year. He is a guy who – there's always guys that don't fit where they're supposed to. He's that guy.
Yeah, Matt, I know we're doing quick hits, but Dave's spot on about that. As a handicapper, there's always one outlier in every sport. Bill Belichick's the one I've said for 20 years in the NFL. The Patriots always outplay their stats as well, and at some point you have to take note of that.
Pirates and Brewers, Brubaker against Anderson. Brubaker has a 7.20 ERA as a starter, a K rate under 20%. He did just face these Brewers. Anderson teams are hitting 357 against the first time through, 184 the second time through. Pirates are terrible. Brewers offense is very hot and cold. Steve, we'll go back to you on this one.
Yeah, I mean, the Pirates last week, of course, almost doubled their win total in a 3-game span against Milwaukee, right? What were they, 4-17, 4-19, and then they got 3 straight wins. I guess Milwaukee took notice because they won 9-1 last night as a $2 favorite. If they have that focus again, they should win easily once again.
Yeah, it's funny because I had the first 5 under in this game, and I was very frustrated because Holland looked incredible, made 3 bad pitches, and then, of course, he had the bad 5th inning. But this Brewers lineup is very hot and cold. Dwayne, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I can't bet this game. I mean, the Brewers, as big a favorite as they are, they're just so inconsistent. I can't back him with Anderson on the mound. He's lost 2 miles an hour off his fastball. His home runs per fly ball rate is up. It would be a career high this year if you throw out the 2016 season where he only threw 11 innings. I just can't get involved in this one.
Dave?
Price is too high. I mean, it just is. The Brewers are not playing at a level that justifies them being this big a favorite of anybody. And the Pirates can hit lefties.
Crazy to think that Burns was Anderson's piggyback, and now, of course, Burns has been incredible as a starter for Milwaukee. All right, Nats and Red Sox, Sanchez and Mazza. Left-handers are hitting .347 against Anibal Sanchez this season with 4 doubles and 3 homers. And Mazza is glad to face somebody other than the Yankees. Dave, we'll start with you.
I got to look up Mazza for a second here because I had a note. So go to somebody else and come back to me.
Steve?
Well, one thing I'll say is, we talked about the Red Sox. Dave's pointed out accurately a few times this week that, it looks like they're sellers and guys are on the block. And then we look at them back on Wednesday before everything shut down for a day. They only had 1 run on 3 hits and hitter-friendly Buffalo. That was a huge red flag for me. And then you see them put up only 2 runs last night. However, they did have 10 hits. They left 8 guys on base. So I do feel like they're hitting the ball again. But the Nationals really opened up last night. 10 runs on 16 hits. Yet, as you know, Matt, the Nationals have not won back-to-back games for about a month now. So we'll see if they can keep that momentum going.
Dwayne, last start, Anibal Sanchez was really good. It was against a Marlins team who's struggling to hit right now. Is that an anomaly, or is that worth building something?
No, I'm not putting much stock in that one. He's seen a drop in velocity, so it's no coincidence to me that his ground ball rate is at a career low. His home runs per fastball rate is the second highest of his 15-year career. The Red Sox hitters have faced him in the past, and they've done really well against him. They've not. Washington has not faced Mazza to this point. That should give him an early edge. So I'm thinking Boston first 5 is worth a shot here.
Dave?
Yeah, the thing I noted on Mazza, and it could be a complete fluke, but he's getting some swings and misses. I mean, it's only 5 2/3 innings. The Nationals are not as good against righties as they are against lefties offensively. I don't think I want Washington here, but the Red Sox are basically on my no play list. I did play them in the first 5 against the Orioles when Eovaldi was on the mound and got a win with them, but I think that's the second time I bet him this year, and there's just almost no way I'm going to bet this Boston team.
Over 300 people in the room so far. You are the reason why we do these shows on the weekend. We will be back tomorrow at noon. And, of course, 2 o'clock is our normal time during the week. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit the bell. You'll never miss a show. And we will be here with you giving out information, free plays, all sorts of good stuff 7 days a week as the baseball season continues on. Padres and Rockies. Morjan gets his first Coors Field experience. He goes up against Senzatella. Dwayne, we'll start with you on this one.
He's only had 4 career starts, so we don't have a lot of data to go on with this guy. He should have an edge the first time through the lineup because Colorado's never faced him. But they're not. They're so against lefties, so nothing to get excited about there. Padres, they have some really good advanced metrics against righties. So, they should hit Senzatella here. I just can't back, the young guy for San Diego right now. I mean, with the wind's blowing out the left center about 12 miles an hour when this game starts. Maybe they can get some runs early and put this one over the total.
Yeah, Steve, remember this first 5 under had been a winner, and yesterday it was not in Coors Field.
Yeah, and I like the Padres in Coors Field with that explosive offense, that home run hitting power offense is dangerous there, especially a first-time starter. There's 2 ways to look at this. As Dwayne said, the Padres, he'll have an edge over the Padres lineup, but then again, he's never pitched in the altitude, so if he makes mistakes, they're going to be amplified. I would have liked San Diego more here. Might have been a possible play for me at the short number, but the Rockies do fit the same underdog system that the Royals fit today, so that was enough to keep me off of it.
Dave?
Well, Morejon was awful in his last start. His mechanics got completely out of whack, and he was out of there in a hurry. And that's going to happen with young pitchers. And if he has those mechanic issues today, he'll get crushed. But I have Padres. There's all the teams in Major League Baseball. I think you can say the Padres are probably having more fun than anybody.
Slam Diego.
They are really. They're just. You can see it. The chemistry on this team is phenomenal. They're really excited to take the field every game. I like this team.
Yep.
And they're not a team I want to go against. I like their chances here as well. Senzatella's actually pitching pretty good ball, but this Padres team is a go-with team right now.
Final game on the slate, Mariners and Angels. Justice Sheffield, who's been really hot as of late, and Dylan Bundy, who has not been very hot in his last 2 starts, but is facing the Mariners for the 3rd time, Dave.
And the Angels continue to absolutely suck offensively against lefties. And, more of the same yesterday. So that's an advantage for Sheffield, who's getting more comfortable. Bundy has been going the opposite way. I think the price here is too high. I would look at Seattle.
Dwayne?
Like you said, the Angels, they have some very poor advanced metrics against left-handed pitching, but yet somehow they've managed to average 6.5 runs per game at home against lefties. 5 of the 6 games went over. The Angels have already faced Sheffield and hit him well. The Seattle pen is the bottom third of the league. Seattle's already had 2 cracks at Bundy this season. So, the more they see him, the better, for them. And, they're 10-4 to the over on the road against righties. So I think the over is the way you look here.
Steve, when you look at Sheffield, he's had some 3 hot starts, Texas, Houston, and Colorado. Does that carry over against the Angels?
Yeah, I'm always leery for a guy to have a regression, but those are 3 decent teams he faced. It's not like it was the bottom beaters. Tough loss, by the way, guys, for me last night. I'm 5-1 for the week. Only loss I had was the Angels run line by half a run. They're up 3-1 going into the 9th inning last night. I did the responsible thing. Instead of laying minus 200, I took 1.5 even for my clients and lost by a half. So don't trust the Angels here to cover the big number again. They weren't that great offensively last night.
The other thing, just to remember for everything today, is make sure to check the weather, because there will be wind, there will be rain, there'll be postponements, rain delay, and all that good stuff. All right, time for the DFS segment here. Dave is still on strike, so we'll go to Steve, who will tell us about the guys at Coors Field that he likes.
And I normally do it just as a default because I don't do a lot of daily fantasy, but I really honestly do like the Padre hitters today. And Dave touched on the exact feelings I have. I like this San Diego team. They're fun to watch this year. I'm rooting for them personally for that reason. Slam Diego in Denver today. Not only did they put up, 10 runs last night, but I think they had 19 hits. I mean, they were just crushing the ball. Good things happen when you hit the ball and put it in play in Colorado.
Any pitchers today, Steve, that you lean towards?
It's so many doubleheaders, Matt. It's tough. I could say that some of these doubleheader pitchers, I think, as a strategy are worth a look, because you figure maybe the managers let them go an extra inning or 2 and let them go 6 innings versus just 5. So if you like some of these aces and some of these doubleheaders we talked about, I think they have a little more value in daily fantasy on a day like today.
Dwayne?
I don't play fantasy baseball. I'm a fantasy football guy, but for the sake of the show, I looked some stuff up, and I would go with Will Myers today, San Diego. At Coors Field, he's faced Senzatella 22 times, has a 400 average and 1159 OPS against him. I'm not sure what he's priced at, but he looks like a strong play today.
Yeah, Will Myers is a medium price guy towards the top because of the fact that he is at Coors Field, but he's not one of the top-notch guys like Tatis and Machado and stuff like that. The 3 guys I'm looking at today for potential homers, as I said, I think I like the White Sox today. I like Luis Robert to potentially get a homer. I like Dave's Rafael Devers today because of the fact that Sanchez struggles against lefties. And I think Joey Gallo makes some contact today. He hasn't had a hit in like 5 games, but I think against Stripling, Gallo gets into one in that monster ballpark and hits a homer today. So Robert, Devers, and Gallo. And pitching, there's just a bad amount of pitchers today outside of those doubleheaders. So I have no pitching recommendations today. So we've got football, we've got basketball, we got hockey, we got baseball, we got MMA and UFC, whatever, all this weekend. Make sure to go to the websites, wagertalk.com for Dave and Steve and Dwayne, and then go to sportsmemo.com for me. We will be back tomorrow at noon, another edition of First Pitch. We appreciate everyone who checks out the show. We will be back tomorrow. Thanks for